Hi everyone, my name is Akasha, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to take blood pressure manually and automatically. So first things first, I'm going to show you how to actually set up the cuff. So here's your blood pressure cuff. This is the manual one. You just have these two things. Well, it's already going to be off when you get it in the mail, and you just put it on. Boom. Right down to that little thing right there. And then with this one, same thing, you just put it on there. I kind of like screwed it really hard. Just put it on. Simple as that. The automatic one looks like this. You just put it in wherever the hole is. Turn that off. And that's done. Super easy, simple, cool. So what you'll need to measure the blood pressure is the blood pressure cuff and the stethoscope. So I bought mine off of Amazon. You can probably get like a really cheap one on Amazon. I think this one was like $60 maybe. Okay, so before we start, we want to make sure that you're going to be able to hear everything. So you're going to want to wear your stethoscope the right way. So you see the prongs, you're going to want them facing forward. So you see how they're facing forward, like that way. You're going to want to put it in like that so you can hear everything. If you don't, you're not going to be able to hear. It's going to be very muffled. And then right here, you want to make sure that you can actually hear. Just tap. So there's two sides for two different frequencies, and to switch it, you just switch like that. So it's for low and high frequencies, and you can just switch back and forth like that. But just to make sure it's on, tap, and then you're going to use that side. And I always use this side when doing the blood pressures. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to actually take the blood pressure. So here I have my younger brother sitting, and we're going to go ahead and put the cuff on him. So the artery line is always above the brachial artery, where we'll be putting our stethoscope near. And to know if the cuff is too tight or too loose, you can always put two fingers inside the cuff, and as long as you can fit two fingers in there and move them slightly, that means it's good. And as for the gauge, I kind of just stuck it under the flap. As long as it's not under both the flaps, like keeping it from inflating, you'll be good. So I just stuck it under the first one. You can always have the person hold it as well, or you can just put it to the side, as long as you can see it and read it. Now for the little pump, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So once I've wrapped it around, I make it tight all the way, and then I start squeezing it just so I can get up to 180 to 200. If you can hear the carot coughs or the beats at 200, that means that you should probably pump it higher so that you can hear it, because their blood pressure probably starts at 200 if you're hearing the beats there. Another tip is to have the stethoscope on the artery before actually pumping the cuff, which is what I usually do, but since I was recording, I did it a little bit differently here. So what we're listening for here is the carot cough / beating sounds, and the first knocking sound that you will hear is the systolic sound, and the last knocking sound you hear is the diastolic, and the systolic goes over the diastolic. And once you start hearing these sounds, you will also see that the pin kind of bounces on the gauge. On here, his kind of just stops and goes. Sometimes the bounce is a lot more on other people than it is on some. I don't know why. If you guys want, you can always look that up and look more into it. But yeah, once you get the blood pressure, you can go ahead and take that cuff off. So his blood pressure with the manual was 90/65, and now we're going to go ahead and do it with the automatic. And same thing here, you want the artery mark to be over the brachial artery. If ever that the cuff is so small that it keeps sliding off, it might just be time to go for a smaller cuff, and on a patient with a bigger arm, you want to go for something with a bigger cuff if that one doesn't fit. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this a tiny bit because it does take a little bit just for it to go all the way up and then come all the way back down. But the good thing about the automatic is it also gives you a pulse if you're not using a pulse oximeter or, you know, SpO2. Yeah, so there's, I guess, an upside for that. How accurate do you think I was? You were like 90 or something. So my reading ended up being very close to the automatic. Now I can't say if mine was a little off or if the automatic was a little off. I feel like it might be a little bit of both, but they are still in the same ballpark. His BP was a little bit low. Regular blood pressure is 120/80.
I'm gonna die type of lower like.
But now that you've seen the actual taking of a blood pressure on a patient or someone else, you can also take it on yourself. You want it to be like that. And when you're doing this at work or wherever it is that you were checking a patient's blood pressure, or even at home, you want to make sure that you're using the right blood pressure cuff. So they have different sizes. You want to use one that's good for them, because if you're using one that's too small and the person's arm is very big, the blood pressure is going to read a lot higher than it actually is. And if they're very small and you're using a cuff that's too big, then the blood pressure is going to read lower than it actually is. So you want to use one that is size appropriate to them. You would put it on with these right here, and that's over the brachial artery. And you just want it like that. And when you're reading blood pressure, just know that you're always going to read towards the inners of the arm. So when you're putting the stethoscope on there, it's always going to be towards your body, like that, like that. It's always going to be towards your body. So that's how I remember. Don't put it over here. You want to put it over there, like in this general area, like right here. If that makes sense. You can see the arm, not over here, but rather over here. Same thing on this arm, you want it over here. And then go ahead, start pumping. And I'm gonna pump all the way to 200. I read 130 over 85. And you don't wanna check on somebody's arm more than like 2 times, because, you know, that's just kind of being too much. If you can't hear it on one arm, and you've already done it twice, maybe give them a break, check it at the end, or try the other arm. Okay, 129 over 89. Okay. So that device that we just used is called a sphygmomanometer. But you know, honestly, it's just so much easier to just call it a blood pressure cuff instead of a sphygmomanometer. So that mmHg that we are looking at on the gauge or on the little bar, if you're at the doctor's office watching it go up, that is the millimeters of mercury, so that's why it's mmHg. So you could be like 120 over 80 mmHg, you know? Top number is known as the systolic number, and the bottom number is known as the diastolic number. So an easy way to remember this is the bottom number, diastolic. Di is like the Latin prefix for 2. Usually the bottom number is 2 numbers. So like on mine it was 80 something, right? So it's 80, it's 2 numbers. So that is an easy way to remember it if you need to remember that. So the systolic pressure measures the force of the blood being pushed around your body when your heart contracts. So the diastolic measures when the heart relaxes right after that, which is between beats. So high blood pressure is medically known as hypertension, or HTN. It's usually abbreviated as that on charts. Typically, one is diagnosed with high blood pressure once their pressure is like chronically or constantly over 140 over 90. However, like as an MA or, you know, assistant or anything, you are not allowed to diagnose. So that's like the doctor's responsibility to do. We aren't allowed to do that. So the reason that hypertension is not good for you is because it damages the walls of the arteries and it makes them less stretchy, so that fatty deposit can find an easier way to build up. So if your artery is like this and the deposit is like right here, it's going to make it harder for the blood to go around it. So hypertension can also lead to an increased risk of certain diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and, you know, of course, you can also have that risk of having a heart attack if it's uncontrolled. This happens because the fatty deposit that I mentioned that's building up like that in the arteries is keeping the blood from getting to your heart and your brain, and that blocks off, like, you know, blood, oxygen that can lead to a heart attack or a stroke. So then we have hypotension. So hypotension is also not good. That is when you have low blood pressure, and this is also diagnosed when the blood pressure is constantly underneath 90 over 60. So hypotension can be from one of 2 things, either your heart's rate or the pump. For the heart's rate, we can look at something like bradycardia or tachycardia. You know, if you've seen those nursing shows, you see them being like, they're coming in, their heart is tachy, and like blah blah. So like tachycardia is when your heart is racing, and bradycardia is when it's very slow. That's like as for the rate. As for you having low BP from your heart pumping, that could be something like a myocardial infarction, which is also known as a heart attack. So these were just kind of the basics. This is my first time making like a medical video. sort of, I guess. So I'm sorry if it wasn't that great, but if you did like this and you would like to see more medical healthcare related videos, please comment what you want to see, or just comment that you liked it, I guess. I don't know. And if I missed anything, please let me know. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. Once again, if you want the document, it is in the link in the description box. I don't get anything from it, I just typed that up for you guys. So if you guys want to use it, it explains hypertension, hypotension, you know, how to set up the cuff and everything, just basic beginner's blood pressure stuff. So yeah, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.